gummy bear.
It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for January 25th, 2024. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, the industry's executives keep laying off the people who do all the work. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host at Game Mess Mornings. It's Jan Ochoa, everybody. Jan, how are you doing?
You ever wonder how to spell the sound a wet fart makes?
Yeah.
That's how I feel, Grubb.
Yeah, because you can't just go pfft, because that's already a sound. Like piffed is like when you're saying pfft to something. You need more. You need more. We need more vowels, I think, is what we need to actually adequately
maybe
get that
like
onomatopoeia.
a hot hyphen somewhere.
Yeah.
And then like one of the letters is bolded.
Yeah. The unya button from the Miiverse, the Nintendo Miiverse. That was the wet fart button. That's right, Lenny Cool D. Oh, shout out to Lenny Cool D. Hey Jan, it sucks out there. I'm sad. Like, I'm always mad.
Yeah.
And I'm always like I feel cynical and I feel beaten down by this stuff, by the system. We talk about it every episode. We talk about how capitalism is killing us. When it just like expresses itself in the most way possible, I feel defeated and I'm sad.
Yeah, it's folks that follow the site know I try and keep like a positive outlook and shit, and it's just incredibly difficult to continue to see any type of silver lining when everything around us is just constantly crashing down. And that's on like the actual game development and game publishing side. It is an unfortunate reality within this industry, both sides of the fence, to constantly live in fear of impending layoffs out of nowhere. And we'll get to the news after we get to the intro here, but it's incredibly disheartening to see Activision Blizzard King employees reaching out to someone like Jason Schreier to figure out whether or not they have been laid off.
Yep.
And when you don't have that type of transparency from your own employer like that, and you have to reach out to third parties who may know more about your livelihood, is especially fucked up. And then we'll get to it.
Let's do the intro. Let's explain what we do here most weekdays. I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, let's get into it. Microsoft is cutting 1,900 jobs from its video game division. This is from Darren Bonthus at GameSpot. In the latest round of layoffs to hit the gaming industry, 1,900 people from Microsoft's video game division will be cut from the company. In a new memo sent to staff via IGN, Xbox head Phil Spencer spoke about the painful decision to reduce the number of people in the Microsoft video game workforce, while also pledging to fully support those people affected with severance benefits. GameSpot has reached out to Microsoft, and the company has confirmed that the memo is accurate. As we move forward in 2024, the leadership of Microsoft Gaming and Activision Blizzard is committed to aligning on a strategy and an execution plan with sustainable cost structure that will support the whole of our growing business, Spencer wrote. Together, we've set priorities, identified areas of overlap, and ensured that we're all aligned on the best opportunities for growth. As part of this process, we have made the painful decision to reduce the size of our gaming workforce by approximately 1,900 roles out of the 22,000 people that are on our team. It's about 8.5%. Okay, the groundwork here. They spent $69 billion acquiring Activision Blizzard King. Layoffs were probably inevitable as part of that. This is also in line with 8%. Is about how much everyone's laying off across the board, everywhere, through a bunch of industries, especially in gaming and like gaming media or related entertainment media, online media. 8 to 12%. Everyone's just cutting their workforce by that amount. So these layoffs could have happened even if this acquisition didn't happen. Doesn't matter. They own this. They did it. This is them. This memo here from Phil Spencer does go on to talk about how tough it is to make these decisions, and I'm just over it now. I don't need to hear this anymore about how tough this is to perform. You're a $3 trillion company. You're the second $3 trillion company in the history of the world. You are now the richest company in the history of the world in terms of market capitalization. This is not actually necessary. There are ways out of this that don't involve laying people off. And it really it's a cold strategic decision. And that's what it is. Like, I don't know, own it. I'm sick of it. Don't quit telling us that this is some tough thing. Painful. It's not painful for you. It's not. It's very frustrating, Jan.
It's incredibly frustrating because then, there's so many ways to spin this for the unfortunate the people that unfortunately got affected by this, because you see the writing on the wall across the industry, Grubb, of like companies, big companies of every size, really laying off their staff in various degrees. And you start thinking of, should I just preemptively leave now for something that feels more secure?
Mm-hmm.
And then, you could be someone that got brought over from the merger from ABK, thinking of, okay, if I just hang tough, hang out, I can survive this possibly toxic company work structure, get brought in by Microsoft and Xbox, which is proven to be a better work culture, only to get laid off in this. Grubb, the numbers in total layoffs across the industry are already, half, if not 60% of all of 2023?
Yeah, I think it's between 50 and 60% of what we had in 2023. Over 5,000 in January so far this year. We had about 10,000 by the end of 2023.
And it's just January.
Yep. And I mean, obviously, this is like, the end of the year is arbitrary. This is all part of a continuous thing here. But also, no, I mean, these companies abide by a calendar. They're making their moves to get ahead of things. And this is where it really hurts and where it gets really cynical. Like, you look at the reaction to this, and we're bummed out. The developers are panicking, and the stock price is up. The stock price is up because this is a win for the people who invest in these companies. And that's what really makes trying to survive in this system feel like a war. Like, where like, it's traumatizing. It's not like traumatizing, like actually being in a real battle, but like in the same way that, like, when you're working in a factory and the low hum of the machinery in the background causes like hearing damage. That's like far more common and far more problematic than people like hearing a really loud bang going off next to them and that causing the hearing damage. Capitalism is that low hum in the background that is constantly bringing us down and hurting us. And we're just trying to eat. Like, if you don't fight to survive, you don't eat, you die. And then we turn around and we look at it's like, this is a victory for the people on the other side of this battle. The investor class that has all of this money, it's completely, it's all consuming, and it feels like, what do we do? I don't see an out to any of this. It's just going to keep happening. And like, we get the high tide and we get we get some crumbs for a few years, and then we're going to be right back here again.
Yeah. Yeah. All for what? All for manufactured projections and for like financial forecasts that are complete bullshit, only to benefit the people at the very top. And then it winds up turning everyone that gets laid off, all that existing talent pool, it becomes a dog-eat-dog world where instead of being a very collaborative atmosphere, it is now like, fuck you, pay me type of deal where you just have people turning on each other and like instead of, trying to reevaluate the whole structure of the situation. And even thinking about that, even turning around and saying the thing we always say of like, unionize labor movements. It's just incredibly difficult to even see that as an immediate solution, because it's not an immediate solution at this point. It's not even going to be close to fixing what is going on, because unions haven't proved, like, these bigger companies will find a way. They will always find a way to let go of people, to let go of everyone on the bottom line, to alleviate the people at the top, these shareholders.
Yeah, it's it is. We get to a point where like we are recovering games here, and it's like, okay, some of these companies are they believe in games and they want to put a bunch out, and it's like as soon as that strategy of like we're going to make a lot of games and we're going to employ a lot of people to make these games, as soon as it looks a little rocky, they panic and they cut all the people, and here we are. I don't necessarily see what that. I mean, it's not like they have some other solution. If these companies had other ideas about what to do in terms of solidifying their future, they would have done it. So what they do is they're like, okay, instead we got to make sure the bottom line looks as healthy as possible, and what people are going to want to see that are invested in our company is labor costs going down. That's always the biggest cost, and so if we can cut into that, that's going to look great. And yeah, I think what you said about like everyone now feeling like they're on their own. Like, yeah, with severance packages are going to help with that a little bit. The real thing that people are going to be looking for are new jobs, and a lot of people have a lot of skills that apply mostly to gaming, and primarily to gaming. And it's not like all these other industries out there are actually craving for as much talent as possible right now. So it's not like they're going to be able to leave and go find jobs elsewhere. People, no, we're going to reach a point here where no, the people aren't going to be able to find work. It's cool, and especially people who are coming into the industry for the first time. It is here. We're kind of now very quickly entering a sort of a reverse situation from where we were like coming out of the pandemic, where it's like couldn't find enough talent, and these companies just don't believe in games anymore. Putting games out is not the solution, so hiring people isn't the solution, and it sucks that it has to work that way in the first place. That it has to be, we have to convince these people that we can make them money, and so that we can get some of this $3 trillion that they control. It should not work this way in the first place, but here we are. Blizzard's situation's a little bit different. The president and chief design officer are leaving, and they also canceled the survival game that Blizzard already announced. This is from Tom Ivan at VGC. Blizzard's president Mike Ibarra and its chief design officer Alan Adham are leaving the studio, which has also seen a previously announced survival game canceled. The senior leadership departures from the World of Warcraft developer were confirmed on Monday alongside the news that Microsoft is cutting 1,900 staff across Xbox, Bethesda, and Activision Blizzard. As many of you know, Mike previously spent more than 20 years at Microsoft. Now that he has seen the acquisitions through as Blizzard's president, he has decided to leave the company. Microsoft's game content and studios president Matt Booty said in an internal memo obtained by The Verge. A new Blizzard president will reportedly be confirmed by Microsoft next week. As one of Blizzard's co-founders, Alan has had a broad impact on all of Blizzard's games. Booty said his influence will be felt for years to come, both directly and indirectly, as Alan plans to continue mentoring young designers across the industry. Then they confirmed, they canceled the survival game that was announced in 2022. They're shifting the people that were working on that to other new projects, I suppose, of the people who weren't laid off as part of this. This does like make it feel like a little bit like, oh yeah, this is a acquisition layoff still. Yeah, everyone else is laying people off, but really Microsoft's got some redundancies after acquiring another big video game publisher, and they're cutting those jobs, and they kind of don't need Mike Ibarra to be in charge of Blizzard. Not necessarily. And it's possible, Mike Ibarra and Alan Adham are leaving because they disagree with these layoffs or something like that. I don't know. But in terms of, the state of these companies, it just continues to feel like they don't know what to do next, and there will be there's going to be a lot fewer games coming out of these companies, and that seems to be the strategy right now, Jan. I don't know what to make of it.
It is just so baffling, Grubb. Like, even looking, someone with my level of understanding of math and economics, which is very low, everyone. $3 trillion company, 1,900 people. $3 trillion company, 1,900 people, and probably growing.
Yeah.
You have the fucking cash to spare. You fucking have that. This is not a painful decision at all for you. This is you just moving the fucking numbers around. That's right, Scout. Be angry. Me too. It's just fucking baffling, especially when this video game industry is more profitable than other forms of entertainment that aren't. And hey, I'm not saying that movies and the music industry is not incredibly predatory and scummy, but the video game industry, especially within the last couple of years, fucking dog shit. Like, I don't think in good conscience I could recommend any person to try and pursue video games right now. If you were studying in college, you're graduating from high school, you're learning to code, you're learning to do art, I can't within good conscience recommend you do that because I fear for the future of your career, the quality of your life. It's fucking terrible, Grubb.
Yeah, and it's for these big companies, you get why they are like panicked a little bit. Like, gaming doesn't make a lot of sense right now. We are you think about the games that cost the most money to make, and yeah, like a lot of them make a lot of money back. And then you look at so many projects in like the last just couple of years that have had development teams of like 1, 2, 5 people that take over the entire industry. And it's like, man, at a certain point, like having these teams of 1,100 people working on one game for 7 years, well, we've been saying for years it's unsustainable. I think what we've hit here now is the wall of realization of, wait, if we start up another one of these, and we have these massive teams working on these massive games for 7 years, and we have no idea what the industry is going to look like in 7 years. That's like a kind of a crazy thought to think about at this moment in time when the industry is changing so drastically and we don't necessarily know what consoles are going to look like. We know there's going to be a thirst for games. Like that's continue to grow, even throughout all the times where we're like, what will consoles look like? Is the iPad going to replace all of gaming, all this stuff? Is PC gaming dead? Throughout all those years, more and more people came and spent more and more money on games. But the bets that these companies are making are looking more and more unsustainable. And I think that they are now like, wait, we have to like stop and think about this in a way that they haven't before. And it's like you put yourself here. You keep saying that you have these opportunity costs of having to make these massive bets, and if you don't do that, then it's not even worth your time or effort. And it's like you could have got to a point where you were making several smaller things, letting your teams be more creative, not forcing them to spend years and years refining the visuals to the point where they are to a shiny sheen that makes it look like the most expensive thing ever, because it is the most expensive thing ever. And now you have to go out there and compete with Palworld, and you have to compete with all these other things made by a handful of people in a marketplace. Company. Yeah, in a marketplace that doesn't seem to really care where these games come from. They don't really care if it's like, it came from Activision or it came from a dude named Alex in the middle of nowhere. Like, no difference for the people actually consuming these things for the most part. At a certain point, these corporations look archaic, and yet they control so much of the money going into the industry that we have to continue dealing with their decisions and dealing with their failures. And it hurts 1,900 people at a time. Yeah,
it's all butthole.
It's all butthole, 100%. We're not like we say this every time. Could you say we're not done with this? I was hearing rumors like, oh yeah, there would be some big layoffs, and I thought that was Bungie. I did not know that this was coming. This is like, I'm sorry, not Bungie. It was or was it who was the last big layoffs? Now I can't even keep them all straight. Riot. Thank you. Yes. Riot was okay. Yeah, man, that is really scaring people. And I think once you see Riot, like that should have been the warning bell. Like, okay, we are going to see basically the entire industry just cut off about 8% of the people and just say, so long, get out of here. And we're not. I don't think we're anywhere near the end of this. So yeah, I don't know what actionable advice can we give to anybody listening to this or working in the industry. I think the one thing I'll say, like, this system is built to turn us against one another. Like Jan was saying, it's built to make us feel like we're all in it on our own. If you don't take the piece of bread, and you don't eat, and so you have to take it even if it means someone else doesn't get it. We got to find a way. I mean, unions are one thing. We talk about it. We got to find other ways to come together. We got to find other ways to empower ourselves and take care of the person next to you. We've had the math done, right? Like Alan's, whatever his name was, that came up with capitalism. He was like, yeah, everyone, if they do what's best for themselves, we're gonna actually everyone prospers. And it's like, no, someone did some math later. It's like if everyone does what's best for themselves and the person next to them, that's actually the best system. That gets the best results. We know this is true. We just got to start living it a little bit. I don't know how we do that, but we got to start somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know how either. And like, being on our side of the fence, Grubb, I'm always trying to figure out like what specifically can Giant Bomb do to like help our peers, our friends on the other side of the fence and the dev side, the publishing side of like how can we help them even? And I just don't know how. I just don't, other than spreading awareness and then like, trying to spread the news. And, I hope people don't think we're talking about this news just to cover the news. This is infuriating stuff. And I feel like bringing light to this and shining light on this incredibly ugly side is important because I think we said this on the Bombcast or sometime on Game Mess, but like this whole side of game development is so cloudy and it's so murky and it's that way by design to kind of
dehumanize,
make it possible to dehumanize the whole process, right? And that's why the consumer doesn't quite care sometimes whether or not this game is coming from a AAA studio or Alex in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
I don't know, and it feels especially scummy, and it feels gross and disgusting after last week's Xbox Developer Direct, where they're talking about like, oh yeah, we're uniting, we're all in this together. And then like, how many of those people, I know a lot of those, some of those studios weren't like internal to Microsoft, but like, you got to think of like how many of those people sitting in the background of random B-roll for promo shit. Is that guy gone? Is that person gone? Like, it's baffling. I don't understand it.
Yeah,
someone that's good at math, help me understand this, please.
I don't think there's any explanation for it. The Phil Spencer memo like ends with him saying, "And I know that we still can make great games." And it's just like I don't want to hear that right now. I know it's important to reassure the people that are still there that are going to have survivor's guilt. You do that elsewhere. You hold a different meeting for that. In this memo about laying off 1,900 people, let's make it about people. Microsoft has never made a game. People make games. It has nothing to do with these corporations. Have never done anything. They are able to collect to gather money, and then that money gets used to make games. But you cannot, like, you could throw as much money as you want at a pile of code. It's not going to get written. People make games. Let's just focus on the people for a little bit, please. Yeah,
God, and like I don't know. You just know that some fucking boardroom after this news, this is just like a blip in their fucking like day, right? And like they're gonna go on to talk about some dumbass shit like, well, all right, how are we gonna integrate AI into like our fucking workflow now? And I'm not saying that Kermit the Frog is an evil corporate businessman.
Man, we don't know.
That was just the first voice that came into my head. I was just like, oh my God, y'all are so stupid. Like, you just want to shake people sometimes, Grubb.
Yeah, because like they don't know. We know they don't know any better. That's the thing. Like doing covering this news for so long, we know none of these people actually know any better. Like they don't know better than us how to make this industry work, how to make games good. They don't necessarily know how to run these businesses. They're just guessing. And their guesses invariably end up with us having to be like, you can't afford to pay these people anymore. What do you mean? You're $3 trillion company, and it's a strategic decision. And it's like, okay, you're just saying shit because you don't really know even what you're doing now.
The shit that doesn't make sense to me, Grubb, is if you put people on a spreadsheet and you look at a track record, right? I am sure that there are people part of these layoffs that contributed positively. As we said, people make games. So these active developers on games are doing their job, and they're doing their job correctly and well to the best of their ability with as much oversight as they're given. The people above them that aren't getting laid off, they're probably getting bonuses that will have a golden parachute, much more generous severance packages if that time comes. Those are the people that are making the bad decisions and not doing their job correctly. Whoever the fuck was like, all right, let's go make this type of game. This is going to be the hot stuff. I've done my research. Have you fucking done your research, Ted? That's just a miscellaneous Ted. I don't know any specific Ted, but in this instance, Ted, Jesus fucking Christ, dog.
God damn it, Ted. The exclamation point at the end of the really shitty sentence for me is like, I know we're gonna leave this episode where I talk to my good friend and understanding person Jan here, and I'm gonna go enter a world of like, hey, there's social media where people are gonna be actually really nasty about this still, and find a way to still make it about their stupid ass console wars. Fucking grow up. I am done with it. Like, this is inane. This is an entire industry that treats the people that make the industry possible like shit. It's been, when it has gotten good, it was I was fighting tooth and nail for some recognition that these people are humans and deserve a little bit of like work-life balance. And that's like the minimum. We're talking like bare minimum here. And it's like that took years and years of exposing the way that these people were treated and having these companies get slapped on the wrist over and over again in just like the court of public opinion a little bit. Fucking EA getting voted the worst company in the world. And most of that's about like $10 online passes. Consumers don't usually care about the way the employees are treated, but it's like it did not help the perception. We're like, even when it gets good, it's actually not all that good. Even when the industries begin paying the people who make games more, it's nothing compared to the amount of money that they're making. By definition, that's how capitalism works. It's literally you're capitalizing on something else, and a lot of times you're capitalizing on someone else to take more of the money than they get, so you can be a profitable business. We stand in front of these systems, and I don't blame anyone who's cynical. I don't blame anyone who feels defeated. I feel that way most of the time. But maybe if we don't give in a little bit and we try to help each other a little bit, maybe we can figure something out here in the end. I don't know what it looks like, though.
I don't know what it looks like either. I think, unfortunately, part the solution I see is someone with money being an okay to moderately good person.
Yes, that would be. I would take that.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna go to a break. When we get back, we'll get into some of the other news that's happening out there in the world. Stick with us. We'll be back after this. All right. Let's do this transition. The Pokemon Company is going to investigate Palworld, or so it says. This is from Ollie Welsh at Polygon. The Snorlax has awoken. The Pokemon Company broke its silence on Palworld. Boo. How dare you, Ollie? The smash hit Pokemon-inspired survival game on Thursday, saying it intended to investigate the game and, quote, take appropriate measures if it judges that its intellectual property rights have been infringed. Accusations of plagiarism have been leveled at Palworld since its early access launch on Friday, January 19th, particularly in relation to the design of its pals, critters that players can collect, capture, and battle. While the game features many elements foreign to the Pokemon series, like guns, crafting, base building, and other hallmarks of popular survival games like Valheim and Ark, many players are commenting on what they see as striking similarities between pals and Pokemon. The Pokemon Company apparently says that they've gotten a lot of questions about this, and so they responded, which is weird in and of itself. We have received many inquiries regarding another company's game release. And that was like, I think the title of the memo was like another company's game release, something like that. It's strange. Regarding another company's game released in January 2024, the Pokemon Company said in its statement, we have not granted any permission for the use of Pokemon intellectual property or assets in that game. We intend to investigate and take appropriate measures to address any acts that infringe on intellectual property rights related to Pokemon, the company said ominously. Then, in an abrupt change of tone to something more reminiscent of the inspirational lyrics of a Pokemon theme song, we will continue to cherish and nurture each and every Pokemon and its world, and work to bring the world together through Pokemon in the future. Okay, Jan, I don't know if they had to say something. But maybe they're saying something because they keep getting asked about this. And I think they mostly want to be, they're like, leave us alone. We'll figure it out on our own. We see it. Like, we're aware of it. You could stop adding us about this game. It's basically what this feels like. But there's a chance still that they might do something in court. What do you think?
I think there is a chance, but I think you're 100% right, Grubb. This is them getting in front of everyone trying to die on this hill. and being like, all right, guys, just calm the fuck down. We know that they look exactly the same. We'll see if we need to bring down the hammer. Also, it is near impossible for the Pokemon Company and Game Freak to not have had this game on their radar.
For sure.
Because this was announced 2-3 years ago?
3 years ago, I think. Yes, at least 2 years ago, though.
Yeah, at least. And that seems like plenty of time to get the lawyers up and running and rolling out of like, that sheep does look like our sheep. Maybe we should do something. Also, I can 100% see it from the Pokemon Company's perspective of seeing a million of these other types of games, these clones coming out, and knowing even if it does become as big as Palworld, the sustainability may not be there. You know, like I don't know the names of any of the pals that we caught except Creamy, because that sounds disgusting.
Right. Cream. It was Creamis, right? Creamis.
Oh, see, there we go. Yeah. I got it wrong.
I do know. Actually, this could also be wrong. Captivia, because I just think of Jamie Lee Curtis and Activia, of course.
Yeah.
But actually, I don't think that's the cat's name. Yeah. I mean, you're right. I think that the Pokemon Company. Honestly, that's why I'm a little surprised they said anything. Now, I think they said something for what we've said here to like get the nerds to shut up, stop capping for us. Yeah, everyone in chat is saying the same thing. But it is a certain point, like like the beef between like New York pizza and Chicago pizza. Like New York never actually pays attention to that, and like Chicago makes a big deal about that. And they're like, oh yeah, our pizza's good. And New York's like, what? Oh, okay. Well, we're just gonna go back to eat our pizza. Pokemon should kind of be like that, because I think there's still that chance, Jan, as you said, that we get 6 months from now, a year from now, and yeah, Palworld's still there, doing just fine. But most people have forgotten their pals, and they see a picture of the pal, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I remember. Okay, that was fun. But hey, ain't no Pikachu." And I think it's the world we're going to continue to live in, where Palworld ain't no Pikachu.
Yeah, there's so many people that wrote into the Bombcast, mentioning specific other Pokemon clones, Pokemon ripoffs.
Yeah,
that I 100% forgot about, and that the Pokemon Company never pursued legal action on. And I think it's because when you're at the top, like the Pokemon Company is, your biggest enemy is just yourself at that point.
Yeah.
And your own ability to remain relevant. And it's less so like the competition, because like Digimon is a long running franchise that is run perpendicular to Pokemon. And unfortunately, as cool as Digimon is, I don't see it ever reaching the zenith that Pokemon has at this point, right? The cultural capital is not there anymore. People outside of my age group, outside of our elder millennial age group, Grubb, are going to forget what the hell Digimon is.
Yeah. God, Yokai Watch, that's a good one, Dark Aileron. Yokai Watch was taking over the world at one point. Now, primarily Japan, but it started getting popular elsewhere. And those like yokais, ghosts essentially. They didn't look exactly like Pokemon, but they were close enough. They were closer than like Digimon even. And yeah, that came and it went. I think the same thing could happen here.
Folks, I'm not saying that we will forget what Digimon is. We'll cherish Agumon in our heart and still be confused how Gatomon transforms into an angel lady, because I'm still confused.
For many reasons.
Yes, I'm talking about kids like the gimmicks. Do the gimmicks at all? Can they point out what Agumon is?
No.
Right?
Absolutely
Exactly.
Not. Definitely not.
100% not. And I don't know. I feel like it's even these similar gotta collect them all, gotta catch them all type of other IPs out there, like a Yu-Gi-Oh or whatever. Like they will just find their niche and stick in that niche. Like you don't see the Pokemon Company getting all up in arms about like Yu-Gi-Oh also having cards and also having little adorable monsters.
Right. Yeah.
It just happens and they will just be there. Unless like, I don't know, Palworld suddenly made like a yellow electric mouse and was like, made it a detective and made like other IP and other property with it.
I mean, even though, like the law says even that, though, you can have a yellow, listen, yellow might be close, but you can have an electric mouse for sure in your video game. you just can't have Pikachu. Like like that is where the line is, and it's pretty firm. Which is why, like, and I think we talked about yesterday with Lucy. I talked about how the Pokemon Company is maybe hesitant to take this to court because if they lose the case, that creates an even wider opening for more clones to come in and gives them the legal cover. But there's the other side of it where it's like if Pokemon Company wins, well, they have designs that look like a lot of other games. That opens them up to getting sued. And they have over 1,000 Pokemon pocket monsters now. So it's like they're going to be, and I just realized I'm probably saying Pokemon in a way that's making Sean very upset, and so I'm going to keep saying it that way. They have over 1,000 monsters now. I guarantee you could find examples of many of those, but probably most of those that have corollaries from other mediums, other games, other franchises, movies, books, comics, all this stuff. And they don't want to get sued either. So it's like the industry overall is at this not even uneasy truth. It's a well understood or uneasy truce, I should say. It's a well understood truce. And they're like, let's just maybe let these things slide. So another game is making a lot of money. So what? I actually don't think that is going to like rise to a level that the Pokemon Company is really actually all that worried about it. It would have to begin doing noticeable harm to their sales, and that doesn't seem likely at all right now.
Not at all. And you're 100% right, Grubb. If they pursue legal action and they win, this brings more attention and more awareness on the issue completely. And this just puts a target on the Pokemon Company's back. Does Williams Sonoma start suing and pursuing legal action against the Pokemon Company for their chandelier Pokemon?
Right.
Of like, we sell chandeliers. That one looks like one of ours from our 2007 catalog, you motherfuckers.
Yep.
Does the inventor of the sandcastle get involved, Grubb?
Jesus Christ.
Do our local sanitation workers pursue legal action against the Pokemon Company because of Trubbish?
Oh, I thought you were going to say because Scarlet and Violet. Oh, yeah, got it.
Him, Grubb.
Woo! Pew, pew, pew. Yeah.
John Sand. What if John Sand gets involved?
And that's what you're getting at, though, is really the thing where I think most people should want the industry to land, and that is let's wield the copyright laws very infrequently. Let's like create a space for creativity, and a lot of time creativity looks like remixing because it is. And all these companies should want that because that means that they can also remix on other people's ideas, and people shouldn't be scared away from that. And I honestly, the way the law is set up right now, it is to discourage a company like the Pokemon Company from coming in and just suing a competitor out of business because something looks pretty similar. The industry, the law doesn't want that because they want to have this wide open space for people to remix. So, and that's what I want. Copyright law is, kind of a little stick in the mud when it comes to creativity. It's understandable to a point, but it's clearly the thing that could stand in the way of people being like, well, I want to take that and do something else with it. And we see that now once copyright expires on things like Sherlock Holmes, like, a couple years ago, we were like in a golden era of Sherlock Holmes storytelling. And it's like, oh, okay, we want to have a space open for that for an electric rat, for that idea. And we have that as long as we don't mess this up by trying to give more power to the Pokemon Company. That seems unnecessary.
Someone give me my Sherlock Holmes spinoff starring Grubb and Minotti as Sherlock Holmes and Inspector Watson with Dan Reichert as Moriarty.
Oh, Jesus, Dan would be Moriarty.
I'll be Enola Holmes. I know that Lucy James is like the easy, like,
oh yeah, no, that was a good swerve. I'm proud of you. Enola Holmes, I like those movies a whole bunch.
MBB can act. Turns
out. All right, moving along here. Removed video of Eiji Aonuma at Universal Studios Orlando sparks Zelda park speculation. This is from Evan Campbell at GameSpot. Wake up, Link! You might be becoming a main feature on the upcoming Super Nintendo World attraction planned for Universal Studios Orlando. At least that's the speculation, as Eurogamer reports that the Legend of Zelda producer Eiji Aonuma was spotted at the Florida resort in a hard hat next to Shigeru Miyamoto. And that's in a now removed Instagram post. So far, Super Nintendo World attractions in Hollywood and Japan have focused on Mario, with Miyamoto helping to build the theme park spaces. Link, Ganon, and Zelda haven't been a focal point yet. Super Nintendo World was confirmed for Universal Studios Orlando early last year and called the worst kept secret in history by Universal Destinations CEO Mark Woodbury. It's planned to open next year. God, oh man, I was going to say I thought it was 2025. Hey, next year's 2025. I hate that. Yeah, this is definitely happening, like 100%, right?
Yes, 100%. You see the success of I forget what it's called in Universal Studios, but you see the success of that park, you see the success of the movie, and then Nintendo's finally feeling brave enough to like peek their head out and be like, all right, maybe we'll do more stuff. Maybe we'll do more stuff that ain't games. I just don't know what a Zelda park would look like, Grubb, because do you have it be more of the traditional, like Link to the Past? Do you get funky with it and maybe do Wind Waker? Because I feel like a Wind Waker aesthetic would lend itself really well to a theme park. Or do you go for like the kind of like the balance between that with Breath of the Wild? Do you just have like rolling fields?
Yeah,
and glue.
Hey, listen, I would love rolling fields and glue. That sounds like a good time in a park. Breath of the Wild's probably the answer. It's so popular. It is an aesthetic that is slightly more malleable, I think, than having something more lifelike. And it's not as timeless as Wind Waker, but I think it's because of the popularity. I think it's something that people will latch on easier than they latch on to the Wind Waker style. If I had my say, I think I would go with Wind Waker. I think that would be something that, you know, if you go to this park 50 years from now and they still have this, and I don't know what the life cycle is for park attractions these days, probably not 50 years. But if you go there 50 years, I think Wind Waker would still be like, oh man, this is cute, this is timeless. But I think Breath of the Wild can certainly get close to that in those terms.
Grubb, think about all of the ways that Nintendo can exploit these people with merch. And Nintendo, my phone is on Ring, so I can hear if you want to talk, so we can cut the check. Because think about it, Grubb. Think about the little gimmicks out there rolling around with Majora's masks. Think about it.
I want a little plushy, one of those little guys that you had to help in Tears of the Kingdom. The
Koroks.
The Koroks, yes. God, give me a million little Koroks. Absolutely.
Every day in the park, we unleash 1,000 Koroks, and you have to find them all.
Yeah. It's part of the fireworks show where they just get shot up on rockets and then they parachute down. I would love that.
My God. The easiest attraction to get as a people mover, Grubb, you get from one part of the ride to another part of the ride that's up there. You ascend.
The ascend ride, hell yeah. Nintendo's Japanese store released a ton of awesome Pikmin merch, and I am so desperate.
I saw this.
A lot of it sold out immediately. People are like, hey, you can use this proxy proxy site and they'll ship it to you. And I'm like, okay, it'll probably get pretty expensive pretty fast, but I'm going to look into this. And a lot of the things I wanted were sold out already. So it's like, damn. So like Nintendo can do cool merch. But when I was at, when we were at Super Nintendo World, I went in the merch store and it was like pretty limited. I was like, it's obviously what they had there was Mario stuff. But they had okay, this is just based on the literal attractions that are here. There's standard Mario stuff and there is Mario Kart, a paraphernalia. And then it's like not even Wario or Waluigi. Like they weren't even going that far afield, let alone Kirby, which was like, maybe there'll be some Kirby stuff for my kids. It's like, no, Kirby wasn't even there. So it's like, okay, they'll have Zelda merch, but I wonder if they'll still be very vanilla with it. Or maybe as they, have more time and they get more confidence with these things, they will begin to expand it more. I don't know. I guess I don't know what kind of audience is getting attracted to the Super Nintendo World in America. It seemed like the one in Japan had even more, a larger variety of merchandise than we had here. But either way, I'm like, I would be excited for that if they went as ham as they went with that Pikmin stuff that they have in the store right now in Japan.
I'm trying to think about the other stores that we saw when we visited Universal Studios, and I can't imagine having any interest in wanting to buy like a Fast and Furious branded hat with a reference from like the first movie.
Right.
Of like,
quit stealing my TV DVD combos, man. My favorite line from the first movie.
It's the best. It's iconic. And it just feels like money on the table, Grubb. Like you could sell so much shit. Just drive an hour away, look at Disney, look at all the random garbo they're selling over there. And some of that random garbo exists in my apartment right now, Grubb.
Zelda will probably happen quite a bit, probably a few years from now. The next thing that is going to open up, seems like at Orlando after the Mario stuff, is the Donkey Kong stuff. That is, I believe that's been photographed. Again, I don't keep track of this stuff. I have a Mike Minotti for that. I'm pretty sure everyone's got a Mike Minotti for this, so just go talk to that person in your life. All right, PS5 and PC may be getting a new version of Until Dawn. This is from George Yang over at GameSpot. A new version of Supermassive's interactive horror game Until Dawn could be releasing soon. According to a new report from Deal Labs, Until Dawn will be coming to PlayStation 5 and PC. Interestingly, Deal Labs claim that there won't be any changes to the game's title, and it's unclear whether this new version is a remake or a remaster. Basically just saying Until Dawn. The game just called Until Dawn, not Until Dawn remake, remaster, anything like that. Will just get basically ported, it sounds like, to PS5 and PC. Maybe there's more to it than that, but that's the way this kind of makes it sound. I'd be down for an Until Dawn. Is this something you think could show up in like a state of play, but maybe by like the middle of next month, where like, hey, yeah, Until Dawn now on PS5, or does that not rise to the level for a state of play?
This can pad out time. This is one of those like throwaways where it's like, all right, here's I hate to use wrestling terms, but like, this is
don't ever hate that.
This is the match you put on after the big announcement to like calm the crowd down.
Sure. Yes. Okay. Yeah. This is a cooler announcement.
Yeah.
I think that it could show up in a state of play if it is like shadow dropped. If it's like, and it's available now on PS5, and then the YouTube video later is like, and it's also on PC. I think that could easily happen. And I kind of hope it does. I never played Until Dawn. I did play Until Dawn VR in E3 in a PSVR, like in the first years of those VR releases, and I was so scared that the person running the demo just kept taking photos of me and like showed them to me later because I looked so absurd. I'm like, cool, thanks. That's makes me feel very manly.
I feel like I've played this game and seen this game so many times that I personally don't have any interest in it, but I'm sure there's going to be a whole new audience for the games, though. Yeah,
I mean, I think at this point, the horror genre continues to grow each time. Each year, where it's like, and more people are like, I just want more of those, and I think a lot of people will show up for Until Dawn that weren't paying attention the first time it came out, and especially if people are like, hey, it's like a good one of those, like the Quarry was one that I think people really ended up liking, and like, hey, here's one of those, and now if it works on your PC, you don't have to go track down a PS4 version or something like that. I think a lot of people would be happy with that. China is removing proposed bans on monetization tactics from government website. This is from James Batchelor at gamesindustry.biz. China may have recognized its divisive proposed regulations for bans against monetization and engagement tactics. The BBC reported that the drafts for the proposal, which were published on the National Press and Publication Administration, the NPPA, website in December, have now been removed. As we reported when they were first published, the suggested regulations included bans on several widely used mechanisms in games, such as daily login rewards and incentives for repeat or first-time spenders. Share prices for leading Chinese game-based companies, including Tencent and NetEase, dropped sharply after the draft was first released. And basically, the reporting says that those sharp declines in share value were basically directly behind this getting removed as a proposition. Sounds like these aren't going to go through. Sounds like they're not even really being talked about anymore. They just are going to evaporate. This is notable for a couple reasons. Mostly, it's like you point out, like you talk about a country like China, and people will say, oh, this communist country that like controls everything with an iron fist. It's like, no, even they're afraid of investors. Even they got to keep the investors happy. When the investors saw that their stock prices were going down in Tencent, and it's because a lot of the leadership in the Communist Party has stock in Tencent. They don't want to see this happening. It's like, nope, back off. What the hell are we thinking? There is like this cultural clash in China right now between people who like want to return to tradition and be like, video games are eroding the traditional values of the Communist Party, and people want to make money. And that continues to butt heads. And it seems like in a lot of these skirmishes, in the end, the side that is making money wins. So some people were pretty excited about these propositions when they were announced, Jan, because it was stuff like, stop encouraging kids who sign into a game to log into your game every day just because you are promising them free stuff. That seems kind of scummy. Like you're playing on the fact that they don't have control of a lot of money, and so you're playing on playing mind tricks on them essentially to get them to come back to your game instead of just making a fun game. And it's like, yeah, that sounds pretty fair, but boy, that did not look good for Tencent, and so here we are.
Sounds like a lot of dark patterns have been emerging, Grubb.
Yes, the dark patterns are being enshrined into law and being protected. We must protect the dark patterns.
I don't think they're that dark anymore. Then I think they're just patterns.
They're just the normal patterns that get used against us every day.
They're not even patterns. They're just practices.
Yep. Is a dark pattern when you use like the Grubhub app and the sandwich costs several more dollars than it does if you were to like just go to the store and order it, or is that something else? It's probably just I think
that's something else. Like dark
that's shitty is what that is.
Yes, that's a ripoff.
Koji Kondo. Here's some good news. Koji Kondo to be inducted into the Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences Hall of Fame from Nintendo Everything. Today, the Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences, the AIAS, announced that Koji Kondo will be honored at the 27th Annual DICE Awards ceremony at the Aria Resort in Las Vegas. Kondo has been selected as a Hall of Fame inductee. Nice to hear.
I saw your tweet about this, and then I got really concerned.
Where it's like, the tweet I read about it was like, great, all-time great composer, Koji Kondo. And it's like, are they setting it up? Like, why are they saying it like they're encompassing his entire life in this tweet? Are they about to tell me that this dude is dead? I will be devastated. And I clutched my chest and I read, has been inducted into the Academy of Interactive Art and Sciences Hall of Fame. I'm like, oh, thank God. Oh, shrew. It's just, you got to find a different way to start tweets sometimes in headlines.
Yeah. When you tweet out someone's like photo, I don't know, can you just add like a trophy or something or like confetti?
Yes,
like,
exactly.
So I know that they haven't passed.
It does remind me of that joke from headline news on Saturday Night Live where it's like yippee. It's like yippee, John Thomas died today. It's like, oh, I read that wrong. Or it's like yippee, John Thomas died today. And it's like, oh, that's actually just what he was. He was a yippee. That's a proper noun. Oh well. Finally, Xbox announces Indie Selects program. This is from Sophie McAvoy at GamesIndustry.biz. ID at Xbox has launched a curated program to highlight the top indie games on its platform. The Indie Selects program will consist of games selected by the ID at Xbox team, showcased in a permanent section on the Xbox store. Well, that'll solve all our problems, Jen.
Yeah. Let's go highlight these indies and then buy them.
Yeah, for real. I was talking with Dan the other day about how much I missed Xbox Live Arcade, Summer of Arcade for Xbox Live Arcade.
Yeah.
This doesn't seem like it's that. This is just like a blog. Oh, well. All right. You know what? Let's get to the poll question. While I'm getting that set up, Jan, why don't you tell people what we have going on the website for the rest of this week?
Approximately, perhaps, what's the math here? An hour and a half from now, we will be doing a GB Plays of Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. Grubb and I will be hanging out with Ichiban Kasuga and his motley crew of friends and lovers and more friends and family. For lovers. For lovers. Rare sequel that never got made of Flubber. And later today, we will be boarding the voicemail dump truck for voicemail dump truck 100. Everybody, we will have we broke him out of jail. Ben Pack is hopping on the dump truck once again. Tomorrow, folks, we will have another episode of Game S Mornings. UPF will be the Scrub League with 2 Bs of Tekken 8, I believe, and we'll be having ourselves a little another review cast for Yakuza Like a Dragon, or Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth with Lex. Lexi will be hopping on the show tomorrow.
Yep, looking forward to it. Should be a good time. I want to talk about that game a bunch more. I've been playing it last night and this morning a little bit. Been enjoying it.
It's real stupid. It's real stupid.
In the best way possible. I love a game that makes me go, oh, this is dumb. These people are dumb.
Yeah.
All right.
But like it makes me think that about the developers too.
Oh yeah,
though.
100%. And again, in the most positive way possible.
Yes.
Yeah, just love it. All right. A poll question from yesterday. Which game are you most excited to play? Tekken 8, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, or Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League? Let me double check, make sure I have all this updated. There we go. The winner there is Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth with 56%. 22% said Tekken 8, 11% said Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, and 10% said Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. 1 out of 10 out of you there are just ready to get down with Captain Boomerang, or whatever the hell his name is. And more power to you. All right. I hope for the best. I hope that game is good for your sake. Absolutely.
Okay, Boomer rings.
Oh, jeezy, crazy. No new poll question today. I'm not in the mood.
We go.
I'm just not in the mood, everybody. We'll come up with a new one on Friday for Monday, unless I'm not in the mood again. In which case, fuck it. You know.
Let me tell you, I watched that trailer, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, the Joker DLC or whatever they're calling it.
Yeah.
That guy looks like a creep.
He looks like a real creep. He looks like a pervert and someone I wouldn't trust to babysit my children. The way he moves in that game, actually, it's unsettling.
Yeah.
I think in a kind of a fun way, but I don't know.
I don't think we need the Joker anymore.
Yeah, I kind of feel that way about Darth Vader, where it's like, I don't like... I think we could be like, let's put Darth Vader into the Hall of Fame, and then we could just not use him in the fiction anymore. We don't need more stories about Darth Vader. Like, he's good. Joker probably is in a pretty similar space. It's not going to happen, Jan.
No.
We're going to get a lot more of these guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Too much. Football saved me.
Football, God, man, the Lions. If the Lions win, I'm going to be... It's good. Like that's the other thing about like capitalism and just trying to survive. The small victories, the little joys that you have no part in and doesn't actually improve your life in any way. I don't give a shit. Give it to me. I'm so ready for it. Please. All right, Jan. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today and talking about video games and getting me through this, man. I really appreciate it.
It's my favorite way to start a Thursday, except for a majority of the news we had to cover today.
Exactly. Thank you all for listening. We cover the news every day. I know it can be a downer sometime. And you might say, hey, why do I tune into this? I actually just care about the fun part of video games. If you're still listening, even though that thought occurred to you, I appreciate it. I understand. I get it. You also are just trying to survive. But we are in this together. Let's try to see this through. Thanks for listening. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.